Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. As the title would suggest, I was on the BBC Radio 2, and BBC Radio 2 is a big channel in the United Kingdom, and there's a programme on there called Jeremy Vine, and the guy is very popular, very popular guy, and it's a mid to late morning programme, so it's prime time in the week, Monday to Friday. And he has all different issues on there, about everything, issues about everything. And it's usually people phone in or email or text with differences of opinion. And this issue, I had the radio on in the background. I was on the computer and I had the radio on, I could listen to it. And the subjects this week were to do with coronavirus, of course. We're in May 2020. And he said, we want to hear from people in different parts of the world that are dealing with coronavirus. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, I'm over here in Turkey, so you know what, I'll send an email. They like to have an email, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, so before we get into the story, let me just give you a little bit of a background, okay? It won't take long. It won't take long, I promise you. Turkey has done very well in the coronavirus. They've dealt with it. They started in December. They started making lots of PPE equipment, personal protective equipment, lots of medicines, and preparing themselves for what was about to happen, like a few other countries did. And of course, when it came to January, when it came to February, we started doing lockdowns and people wearing masks, and we really got on top of it. And as a result, there's been 4,000, albeit unfortunate, fatalities. And not only that, hang on, put my foot on the table. Not only that, Turkey has helped over 50 countries, sending PPE and food, and in some cases, medicine, in some cases food. So living in Turkey and hearing that, it's quite good to hear. You often think Turkey is like a bit of a strange country, but they always come to people's rescue. They're always there to help people. And when Italy was really having it bad, Italy went to the EU for help, and the EU didn't really want to know. They said, we can lend you money. And Italy, said, that's not what we want. We need medication, we need help, we need PPE. And it was Turkey that stepped in and helped them. So, yeah, it's good to hear that you're in a country that does care about other countries, that steps forward. Now, you may have heard a story from the from the UK, that Turkey was going to supply the UK with more PPE, and they already sent over 2 plane loads of personal protective equipment. Nothing was said about that. Nothing. That was all kept very quiet. Anyway, the UK government asked Turkey for more. And Turkey said, okay, we can do this, but look, we are helping other people. We can do it. We'll try and get it together for you. And then it was a focus on the news for some reason. This one shipment was on the mainstream media all the time, on the BBC News. Oh, we're waiting for 400,000 items of PPE from Turkey. And it almost got the impression of, oh, come on, Turkey, we're waiting for you. That sort of thing. I thought, okay. A lot of focus on this. So the shipment came over to the UK. Sorry, went over to the UK. I'm in Turkey. Went over to the UK, and it got inspected. And next thing I heard on the news, that all the 400,000 garments were useless. I thought, hang on a minute. Turkey, they use this PPE themselves. It's gone to like 50 other countries, and UK have already had some, so how can it be useless? I find that hard to believe. So of course you go online and look, and there's a guy called Dominic Chilcott, who's the British ambassador to Turkey, and I looked, and he said in his tweet, he said, I don't understand why people are saying the PPE isn't good. It's all being used. There's not an issue with it. There's a few garments that haven't come up to spec, but they were sorted. They were they were from an independent supplier to the UK. So the UK government found this independent supplier. It didn't come through the Turkish government. So no, all of the gowns weren't defective. They were absolutely fine and they were being used. Okay, but you didn't see this on the mainstream media. You saw them saying they're all useless, but you didn't see them say, well, okay, we've changed our mind, they're absolutely fine. This is what I find strange. But anyway, so going back to the radio program, so I emailed in and said, yeah, I'm in Turkey. A researcher called in and said, Mark, hey, you're in Turkey, what's it like over there? I said, yeah, it's great, you know. He said, what's the day-to-day living like? I said, well, we're in lockdown, but I can go to the supermarket as long as I wear a mask, and all the people in the shop are wearing masks, gloves and full visors, you know, to protect themselves and protect you. Oh, right, okay, yeah. And I said, we're looking in, I think, the start of June to open up domestic tourism within Turkey, and some restaurants and bars will open. And I think in September the kids will go back to school. Oh yeah, great. He says, can you speak to Jeremy? Can you speak to Jeremy about that? Yeah, sure, no problem. So I waited on the phone. You could hear the radio program going, and then he spoke to somebody in Spain, you know, and how's it in Spain, blah, blah, blah. How's it in France? Yeah. We're going to go further east. And then it was me. He said, we're going to go further east now, and we've got Mark Graham on the line. Hi, Mark, how are you? I said, hey, Jeremy, yeah, good to hear from you. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm in Turkey. And what's happened in Turkey? Is everything okay? I said, yeah. I said, Turkey started the making more PPE in December. They've really got on top of this. We've only had 4,000 fatalities. And he said, oh yeah, well, I can't really trust the figures coming from Turkey. And I said, okay, I kind of see, I understand why you think that way. It was a bit of a prod. I says, but don't forget, you know, we've helped 50 other countries. At the same time, we've helped 50 other countries. Oh, that's right. He said, yeah, we had 400,000 items sent to us, but we couldn't use them. We're totally useless. I don't know what happened about that. And I said, well, if you ask Dominic Chilcott, who's your government minister and ambassador to Turkey, he will tell you that all the items are okay. It's well known. It's just that it's not in the media. Okay, Mark, good to hear from you, bye. And that was it. It cut me off. And I thought, oh, bloody charming. A few minutes after that, I got a call from a friend of mine who was listening to it, he's working in England in Jaguar. And he called me, he said, that was you on the radio? I said, yeah, it was. I said, the bloody cut me off, didn't they? And he said, you know why, don't you? And I said, well, I have a feeling it's because, first of all, you sneered at him a bit for saying not trusting the figures. And then you, when he said about the 400,000 garments that were no good, you put him right on that. And he didn't like that. You sort of almost like poked him in the eye, and he didn't like that. So that's why he cut you off. I said, I get that. I understand it. Which is a bit strange. Am I bothered about it? Maybe because I'm doing this video, maybe I am bothered. Not really, because what I find confusing is the BBC always say we always find the truth. You know, we have to, by law, we have to only tell the truth. And you think, okay, well, if that's the truth, well, I just spoke the truth. It's all there. You can look at Dominic Chilcott's, the government, you know, body to Turkey. You can look on his tweets if you want, anybody watching this. And that's the truth. But they didn't like it because it didn't fit the narrative of the BBC. You know, if Jeremy was to ask me how's Turkey, and if I say, oh God, Jeremy, you know, mate, oh, we're struggling here. There's no food and there's people dying. It'd probably keep me on the line, you know. You'd probably keep me on the line and say, oh yeah, oh, tell us more, Mark, you know, tell us more. But no, because you came back at him with something, he didn't like it. Yeah, which is a shame. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, The BBC. My mum loves Jeremy Vine. My mum listens to it every single day. She heard me on there, and she heard Turkey in my name, and she thought, that's a coincidence. There's somebody else called Mark Graham in Turkey. And then she heard me and then realised who it was. And when I spoke to her, she said, well, he did cut you off rather quickly. And I said, do you know why, don't you? And she said, well, I'm not sure. And I told her, and she said, well, okay. Oh, I'm sure he had good reason. I said, yeah, Mum, okay, fine. The thing is, people like my mum, she's what, 79. She listens, she hangs on his every word. You know, what people say. She absolutely takes what the BBC say as absolutely, that's it. Yeah. Who do you believe nowadays, eh? Who do you believe? I don't know. I suppose with things like this with YouTube, there are people like me actually here in Turkey. So if you want to know something, what's going on, you can contact somebody, can't you, and say, hey, you're in Turkey, what's happening? And I can say, and I can tell you, I can do a video on it if you like. But I don't know, it just seems to me, the government and the BBC, they seem to have this agenda, and unless you fit in with that agenda, then you're pushed aside. I sound very political, don't I? I'm not a political person, I'm really not. It's just that, but when you experience something like that, you're just like saying what's happening and how it is, you seem to get cut off, and I don't know. It was a strange thing. But anyway, so that's my experience with the BBC. So thanks for watching. If you're still awake, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. It'll probably be another rant about something. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye.